Hey, Charlotte. I have nom-noms. Okay, but seriously, welcome to part 2. When we last time on Dragon Ball Z, Ralphfire77 did not understand what we meant by denying evidence. Anyway, so Sherlock writes, not necessarily, because there have also been, this is also Ralphfire, many failed predictions. One of them were with the sexes. So his question is, if you make 1,000,000 correct predictions for every failed one, they still know what they're talking about. The failed ones are interesting edge cases where we need better understanding, but evolution has still so many correct predictions that it's simply the best model for the diversity of life we see on Earth. Oh, my neck. Anyway, so unfortunately I do not have the depth to know what failed prediction you're talking about in regards to the sexes, but that sounds fishy to me. If you're saying that Darwin wasn't sure how to explain the sexes at first, that's pretty understandable. Make no mistake, it's been explained since. John Doe. Hey John. Denying evidence such as Link. Ralphfire, a website saying that is a website I've seen 1,000,000 times. I've seen the evidence, but for some reason, can you tell me how I'm denying the evidence? You're not elaborating what you're saying I'm denying, just saying I'm denying evidence. Well, why don't you accept evolution given the mountains of evidence? A few reasons. Obviously, there's some evidence missing. Evidence doesn't talk literally and figuratively. And I know there is more to the story than just evidence by itself. Like I said, I'm that Dayfly. Okay. Back to the Dayfly thing. Oh yeah, and right after that, he also states to John, Ralphfire also states to John, none have to do with denying evidence. Denying evidence. I see it. You can't deny what you see. Sure you can. It's possibly a hallucination. But that generally talks about things like a mirage while you're stranded in the middle of the desert and you're dehydrated as fuck. Anyway, so our man, you is still fail. I know the fact of me eating is going to bug the hell out of Charlotte, so... Anyways, back to the dayfly calling the tree never growing. Let's assume that the dayflies somehow have the ability to take a picture of the tree. Or there was a picture of the tree, of the sapling, from back when the earlier generations of the dayflies were around. So, like, after 10 years of after 10 years, obviously, there will be noticeable growth between the tree in the picture and the tree that the dayflies generally see. So, yeah. Let's assume that the owner of the property was repeatedly taking pictures of this tree every year. The dayflies would have a record of this tree growing. Technically, not the dayflies would have the record, but there would be a record of the tree. So therefore, yeah. You might be missing pictures of, oh, I have to take a picture of this tree every day so the dayflies know what the hell's going on. And that guy would be locked up in the loony house, and the dayflies would only have a little calendar of pictures. Anyways. So John ends up saying something about, so if your wife is murdered by your neighbor, and you have a lot of evidence, but some details are missing, you believe he is not guilty? Like, assuming you witnessed it, like, the guy you're talking to witnessed it, and he's still denying that it happened just because, but all the evidence doesn't point to him, or we're missing something. Now that is a bit retarded. Like, saying, oh yeah, I saw the murder happen, but there are evidence missing. Like, just one ape skull missing out of the whole thing. And you can't have every ape skull anyways, because, first off, fossils rare. Anyways. Ralphfire says it's a bad analogy. Well, fine, good for you. I would literally need to see it, video camera, or witnesses to it to add on. No, it's a good analogy. Let's say you have bloody fingerprints identified as your neighbor's, and you found the murder weapon in your neighbor's house. Do you believe he is not guilty? Okay, and then there's a thing about evolution is easily shown and proved and is not experienced. Thank you. Anyways, so go. Ralph is still telling John Doe that the murder thing is a bad analogy. First off, because which I find retarded as all hell, because not everyone's fingerprints are the same. Okay? Just because you see in one set does not mean you see in every set. Secondly, a person just got acquitted this year for the exact same scenario. Drunk driver accidentally killed 2 kids that were pushing car in a neighborhood. And minutes later, someone shot and killed the drunk driver. Obviously, people had seen it. Murder weapon, shells, and bullets were found, as well as fingerprints. Yeah, but the witnesses said nothing because they were fucking retarded. They were going like, nah. Yeah, you just don't go na and assume it to go a good way. Truthfully, I would be suspicious if someone said if the fingerprints were his neighbor's fingerprints. No. You can't compare evolution to fingerprints, though. To baseball. We're talking about parts. And then his reply to Boris on the evolution can easily be shown and proven. He said, I know that. That's not the part of evolution we're talking about. We're talking about the parts that can't be shown and rely on evidence. That is a contradiction. If it can't be shown, there is no evidence. If there is evidence, therefore, it can be shown. Typical Icelander Ivan, you make G-Man look like a college professor. Oh God. Absolute truth. Yes, you can. You're just denying evidence. The evidence for evolution is much stronger than fingerprints and finding the murder weapon. It is like there's only this one neighbor in hundreds of miles radius, and he had find details. Yeah, that's pretty much what the guy's saying. Ralph is saying the theoretical murder never happened because he didn't see it. Argument of ignorance. Isn't enough evidence for evolution, but the religion has no evidence at all. That is actually sad and true. Alright, if you say so. I said countless times, I see the evidence. You must be ignoring that. I also said, we can see evolution happening. Oh. Oh my god, he's thinking it means abiogenesis. It's called a belief. Yeah. Again, that's perfectly fine. You can believe in God, the flying spaghetti monster. Okay, and then the joke that I was holding back last episode. Or you can be like Jordan and believe in space Jews. Oh my god. Look up spirit science and the history of the world. That in one statement. Spirit science and the history of Earth. Okay? Like, search that on YouTube. And if the author is either spirit science or Mortimer, watch one of those two. Preferably, watch spirit science first. Hear it for yourself. And if you're Hebrew, you might also want to look into not only the space Jew theory, but the hollow moon, but the spaceship moon theory, because how else would the space Jews got here? This is not making fun of Hebrews. It's making fun of the thought that Jordan has on... Again, watch Mortimer. Mortimer no more. I don't. Although I know more than Ralph Fire. Anyways... talking to the person who started the chain again. That's why it's called belief. Okay, and John Doe. Why you even want me to accept the whole evolution is so bad? It's not even that important. Evidence isn't even the problem for me. A theory is the explanation of the evidence. I see the evidence doesn't mean I have to believe the explanations for that. Even true in the first place. I don't believe all life came from one single cell. To a whale, etc. I'm a dayfly to those things. So it's not even about the evidence, it's the explanations. Okay, so you're saying all the trees and all the pictures from every year for the past 10 years are not the same tree as the one out, the only tree outside the house. Okay. No, seriously. I'm perfectly fine with you going, well, it's not that I won't, there is evidence, I'm saying the explanations for that evidence. the evidence is the explanation. The evidence, okay, first there's the hypothesis. Life came in an ascending order, so to speak. First there was this life form, this ape life form, which eventually spread out into different branches of apes. We have fossil records for that. And then one of those ape lines spread off to, like, orangutans or something. Chimpanzees. Spread to chimpanzees and early humanoids. We have fossil record evidence for that. The theory is, the hypothesis would be, man came from a type of ape. The observation is, through the fossil record, we've seen that all apes came from a set of common ancestors, which probably all came, and whoever said it was all just one cell. It could be multiple single-celled organisms, which were the same type of creature, but then they all branched off into different things, like phytoplankton and blah blah. There's a lot of people that know more about this than me. It's more important than accepting. Okay? So, in which explanation that integrates the mountains of evidence we have and maybe even makes testable predictions like a theory of evolution do you believe? The ones we can actually see over and over again. And making antibiotics, patents, use in agriculture, etc. What people fail to realize is that even those things need countless tests, a big controversial one being animal testing. Personally, I'm against it, but it's done for antibiotics, medicine, and all that other stuff. You misunderstood about the diversity of life. What alternative explanation do you suggest for that? Well, aside from that, I have none. Aliens have been proposed before. I don't know. That's seriously what he says. I don't know. So, no explanation versus a sophisticated theory that builds upon the mountains of evidence, makes predictions, and is falsifiable. And then the guy shooting himself in the head again. Boris. We are talking about the part. Care to give any examples? Yes. I'm finding it hard to understand how it can be, how it can't be shown. Okay. The thing he'd have right is the common ancestor, single-cell origin. Again, as I said, and as I heard from someone else before, I can't remember, might have been Mortimer. I mean, in a comparison between him and the Amazing Atheist, Mortimer is the smarter one. Amazing Atheist is the louder one, and still knows more than Creationist. Now, here's where he ends up starting becoming retarded again. Land mammals to whales can't. Yes, it's been proven. Not theorized, proven. We have fossil records of that. And pretty much others like that. They rely on by evidence. Okay, first off, there was no evidence to say that was one cell. Now, this is where the kind of experiences thing comes in. We know that cells, that a colony of organisms can divide off into two different species. But man, and who said it was one single cell organism? So I'm not sure what others you could be talking about then. An ape-like creature to humans? That is also proven in the fossil record. Again, there a lot of things can be shown in the fossil record. So again, evolution has nothing against Christianity. It has a thing against creationism, which is usually entangled with Christianity. Like, throughout 90 million% of Christianity. But anyways. Even if I... Okay, then this is back to John. That's true, but even if I wasn't Christian, I wouldn't believe all life came from a single-celled organism. Multiple single-celled organisms. That's how life happens. Multiple single-celled organisms, possibly on a rock from space, so technically our ancestors were aliens, because that's where all life came from. Space. There's life in space somewhere that we will never get in contact with. Unless, of course, we can develop bullshit levels wormhole technology. There we go. So, even though I know it is the best explanation we have, see, that is what it goes down to. It's the best explanation we have for how life started on Earth. I mean, you can theorize your own explanation that attempts to be better, but yeah. I think things are constantly dull, but I would never reach the stage of complete metamorphosis, that doesn't even look like its former self anymore. There's no reason for... Yes, there is! Yeah, the trees that are roughly 3,000 years old and more, yeah, they're still doing fine, because, like sharks, they don't need that much modification. You are tall. You are vegetation. You are tall. You have multiple surfaces to absorb sunlight. Now make yourself some food. See? And it is necessary to have evolution at macro scale of, let's assume the world event is slowly flooding. Let's assume global warming is a thing. Well, first off, we need to evolve to, either A, humans will go further and further inland, and the human population will be cut down drastically, or B, we will slowly become more aqua-affiliated again. If you're talking about in the old evolutionary standards, we are fish. Because all vertebrates are fish. Because those were the first vertebrates. And again, that's only on the old scale. I mean, of course, now we have different things. But yeah. There's plenty of evidence. Borset told Ralph Fire, there's plenty of evidence to prove those exist. I'm not saying... Oh my god. You are retarded. He's retarded. You just said... that, I mean... the land mammals to whales can't be shown? That's what you just said. There's evidence to prove that exists. And then you go on to say, you didn't say something that... yes, you did. You said there's no step between land mammals to becoming a whale. Obviously, that's not the exact terminology someone that actually knows this subject would have said it, but yeah, you should get it. Anyway, so the link I posted twice contains mountains of evidence. Yeah, Joe said blah 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 for common descent. Evolution is not metamorphosis. There is no reason for evolution on that scale. Quite the opposite, actually. There is no reason for a magic barrier in evolution that creationists claim. Or do you have evidence that shows this magical barrier? 0.9 million and... no, 9,002 for Dawn. I guess you even deny physics, geology, etc. That shows us the Earth is billions of years old. Even 10,000 and more year old ice layers are nothing in geological time frames. So I'm not sure where you're going with old trees. You are a Christian. In your view, could your God not have used evolution? Why would he trick humanity Is he malevolent? First off, she is. Yes, she is quite a bitch. Yes, I'm not letting go of the... I'll end up going over why I think God is female at some later point. Why? Fuck all. I don't want to deal with shit right now, so fuck all. Also, back to Boris talking to him. So you're saying there's no proof for those things? Yeah, there is. There is a load of evidence. So, Ralph Fire, Joe, yeah, I do believe in God. Do believe God could have used evolution, but I see the types of arguments you're used to. This isn't a God issue with me, or an evidentially. I just don't believe it. You guys say life. All the variety I life. Which is funny because all the variety of life is one of the reasons why I don't believe it. As far as a geological timescale and all that, I am that day fly. Okay, he's saying he doesn't care about timeline. Not fine. You can choose to be ignorant there. That's fine with me. One's yours to do that. I disagree. I disregard them. Why the hell was I thinking it said disagreed? It had the letters, it had the paraphrase dis and also the letters for agreed in it. Maybe not the correct proportions, but okay. Anyway, so evidence isn't an issue with me. In referencing missing evidence, consider the following. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. String runs from 1 to at least 20. 5 is missing. It doesn't invalidate 6 to 11, nor does the lack of 12 invalidate 13 to 20. This is true. We know that 5 and 12 are missing because of logic and basic math. However, even with them missing, it's easy to theorize with overwhelming certainty that this is an attempt to count from 1 to 20. Correct. Hold on. I gotta give myself a moment to think on what I'm saying and what it sounds like. Because I remember hearing like da 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 da. Right. There should be no argument. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. As you can see, just because some pieces are missing, we have no need to assume the entire attempt to count to 20 is wrong. Speaking of evidence and missing pieces, can you name any evidence that God created everything other than the Bible? I'm not trying to troll or anything. I seriously mean it. There is no evidence, physical or otherwise, that any God created the earth, let alone your God. If we run the same logic on Christianity, you will find yourself trying to count to 20 with 0 numbers. Yet you have no problem believing that. By your reasoning, 1 to 20 with 2 numbers missing is fake bullshit, and 1 to 20 without any numbers at all, but a book saying God did it is believable. Can you seriously not see the failed logic there? I seriously do see it. Isn't the reason why I don't believe it? Yes, it is. You're contradicting yourself. Okay, now I know I'm sound like Mortimer at some point. I'm surprised no one argued with my thing, though. I wonder if it's because of the... I'm surprised no one said anything about mine. Disclaimer, I'm not against the idea of God. Of a gun. This is just comment I've made on the Amazing Atheist video. Is me joking at Josh's logic. Yeah, Josh Fierstein, the mentally deficient, what the fuck. To which I only ask, who made who? Which is funny, because I'm using Josh Fierstein's logic in this, and saying, okay, humans are so complex they had to be made by God. Fine. Who the hell made God then? Because she is obviously infinitely more complex. The answer is none. God, she can exist, but she did nothing. And I basically go on a thing, blah blah. Anyways, so scrolling back down to oh my god. And so still doing fine till this day. Okay. And yes, the evidence missing is why you are not believing. You very well fucking said that with the whales coming from land mammals thing. Twice you said that. Okay, so I guess you will accept it a lot. Except if a lot of people call you narrow, closed-minded, you deny lots of science based on willful ignorance. Not a nice way to end a conversation, but that's the way it is. And then, out of nowhere, Crusader Zov, we are a result. And that is a very, very, very valid answer. Because we are one of the current results of evolution. The evidence for our being here, us being the results, current results, is we are from a long line of primates, of which only very recently on the timeline, very, very recently on the timeline, have done anything of significance. Anyways, so then Boris asks, so what is the issue? So Ralph Fire says, the explanations of said evidence and our ability to take leaps and bounds because of our evidence with evolution. Then why don't you, says Scott. Okay, what? I kinda lost this, cause... Anyway, so Scott, read above, Scott, yeah, you need to catch up. Apparently you don't know much about evolution, else you wouldn't mention metamorphosis. Correct. You reject much of science, which is willful ignorance. Yeah. Narrow-minded because you seem to reject what doesn't, according to who? What doesn't fit the Bible? Yeah, according to who doesn't fit the Bible? Show me one thing where we have mountains of evidence where I don't accept the falsifiable scientific theory for it. Just one. Well, narrow-mindedness is thrown out the window because I'm not basing my beliefs on evolution with the Bible. My beliefs on evolution are based on standalone evolution itself. You probably don't reject anything that has mounds of evidence. Call you gullible to, if you believe every word they say and not second think it. Metamorphosis has to do with... No, metamorphosis is cocoon. No, what? Let me tell you about this. Metamorphosis. From caterpie to cocoon to caterpie to metapod to butterfree. Okay, that's the thing. Oh my god, how's through evolution, not metamorphosis. Oh my god. Evolution eventually led to metamorphosis. It eventually led to creatures that used metamorphosis, like caterpie, metapod, butterfree. Obviously, if you haven't watched Pokemon, you won't get it. But I'm assuming the majority of people who are watching this have seen Pokemon. So, yeah. But yeah, it did eventually lead to creatures that used metamorphosis during its life to help it stay protected during a vulnerable state, whilst their bodies were preparing to be a new form. That's the best explanation I have. Again, I'm no expert, but I'm smarter than this guy currently. How would you know that I just accept everything that is put forward? I'm actually quite skeptical. My beliefs on evolution are based on standalone evolution itself. So what piece of evidence are you missing that would put a nail in the coffin? Now, metamorphosis is a biological process of which an animal physically develops after birth or hatching. Example, butterflies. And it has nothing to do with the diversity of life or the mechanisms of life. Yeah. It's a thing that happens within the lifespan of one of its current results. No, this had currently made me pissed off as hell, Mr. Bunzurian T. It's called adaptation. Evolution is different. Infancy to full adulthood is met by one or more of these stages in many insect species on the path of becoming reproductive. Correct. It has nothing to do with evolution. Bendizer. You have an amazing name. Bendizer the awesome. Bendizer the badass. No organism species changes into another organism species in its lifetime. Correct. The mechanisms driving change in evolution are generational. Your traits are not an exact replica of either your parents. You have inherited traits from both, and certain traits in you that you will pass on to your children if you have any have arisen from mutations. If you have any genes that have arisen from mutations, and while these differences may be less pronounced between individuals, only one generation, they can be very significant over time, which multiple generations have transpired. Correct. Like, from my granddad to me, the insanity has not gotten any better. Although the main difference between me and him is I understand I'm insane. He doesn't. Natural mutation, disable trait in exchanges between mates that produce offspring, a factor that quickly propagates positive mutations. Population fertility, influencing birth rates. The mortality rates via disease. Predation. I'm assuming that means this man was hunted and killed by a lion. He has now been predator-rated. Yes, that's what I'm going to call it now. Predator-rated. Predation? No, predator-rated. That's my word. Mortality rates also including disabilities or competitive exclusions, significant natural disasters, isolation, migration, climate changes, etc. All affect the size and composition of available genetic gene pools of various populations within a species in such ways that it can lead to subspeciation, breeds, and eventually speciation. The leading cause of change in life generation to generation is time coupled with these natural selection conditions, not metamorphosis but mutation. Yeah. The gene in Paw Ball's brain that made him insane, it was partially present in Momo, and it went on to my mom, just as bad as Thomas's. And then my mom went with someone just as insane as someone slightly less, and they had me. I will agree with the thing that you're about to type in. You should have never been born. And I'll be perfectly fine with that statement. Why? Because I'm still on this one thing. To answer your struggle, how can single-cell life become multicellular life? It has to do with how single-cell life behaves in nature. They propagate as colonies. These colonies are fixed in one spot or another, but in blah blah blah. I'm pretty sure he's going with these things eventually become tissues, which end up developing organs, and which fit together to form a functioning body of single-celled organisms. Which technically you're just a built-up pile of single-celled organisms that are working together. So, you know those cartoons where they have multiple people working in the brain? That's technically going on right now, and thus becomes your thoughts, because all these cells are working together to produce this thought with chemicals and blah blah. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going into, and then he'd end up going into the thing where you end up having kids with certain things, which he kind of just pre-discovered trait. Okay, well, anyways. Metamorphosis isn't anything to do with evolution. Oh, Riley Freeman from the Boondocks. It's cognitive dissonance. I was like that when I was a Christian. I absolutely fucking hated atheists and would get defensive as hell. Eventually, I realized I got so defensive because subconsciously I knew it was all bullshit. Yeah. Good job, Riley. Riley Freeman, person of the day. And he's a terrorist in a fictional cartoon. I'm too interested in this. I think I have enough material for several episodes of this. So, James, too bad it's a wasted effort trying to debate Christians. Oh my god. the unpronounceable name, finally asked the correct question. Were you homeschooled? Okay, this is where the chance comes in. From Bendezer. You know what, I'm not gonna say Bendezer. I'm gonna call it Bendazar. Because that's how I would pronounce it. Even though there is no A, Bendazar. So, you basically just said all the things and why I don't believe in evolution. First, the cell itself. Why would a cell suddenly form, then try to live/evolve, evolve, etc.? Well, you're retarded, because why would you want to live/evolve, /etc., /buttfuck? Question mark. I mean, seriously, the same question could apply to you. Why do you want to live? I mean, a single-celled organism might not have a brain per se, but life wants to live. And if life starts, fucker, it's going to live. I don't believe that. Why not? Why not? You don't really understand it all too much. Then there's the part about evolution of gaining the advantage, which is never-ending. Since we evolved to gain the advantage, they evolved too. What? There was a failed evolution prediction involving bats and insects, where it was thought that insects developed the ability to hear sonar after bats gained the ability for sonar detection. That was proven wrong. Generally, it is the bugs are already so plentiful and reproduce so swiftly that it doesn't matter all too much. Also, they generally stay where the bats are not. And because they stay where the bats are not, we know detect sonar. Sorry. I'm pretty sure an insect with super long antennae, they would probably end up detecting sonar possibly better, if at all. But anyways, so and usually it's creatures that already have a certain advantage trying to have a greater advantage. Like, there is something about me that already helps that already helps me survive somewhat better than previously. So therefore, this trait will be amplified through further generations. All the variety of life we see today came from breeding. Not evolving genes. If we all came from breeding, which is half right, if you're meaning through fuck, yes. The first animal capable of fucking fucked till it could no longer fuck, and it had many babies, and that eventually became life. Fine. But if you mean that we could just fuck another animal and produce offspring with it, like dog breeds, like a white person and a... That is retarded. You are retarded. Not you. I'm talking about Ralph Fire 70. Retard. Listen, don't start sending them hate mail. Just... you are somewhat retarded. Oh my god. He's talking about the foreknowledge, like, are you God? Did you see it all happen? No? Then fuck off. That's his explanation. That's why he's not accepting it. Oh my god. You went back to the time mark bullshit. Retarded. Look up cognitive dissonance and cross-reference with denial. And rationalization. What do you mean? It's clear. Oh, okay. See? I was right. He was talking about, well, are you God? Did you see it all? Of which my reply is, did anything see it all? All we have is the fossil records, which says whales came from a land mammal. We came from the first apes, which came from the first mammals, which came from a creature alongside dinosaurs. And, yeah. Anyways, a million... It's not reproducible? I thought we agreed on the E. coli. I remembered the name this time. E. coli. C. Yes. Okay, the whole mythical creatures thing being possible in the future, yes, that is something I would say could be possible. Like... everything evolving from a single cell, I believe is... No. Yeah. Anyways. I mean, that's only like a somewhat conclusion of how life... what was the first life on Earth. Like, well, if we keep going far enough back, well, we are made up of cells. Cells make up tissues, which make up organs, which make up the blah blah blah. So yeah. Show me in the... John. All of it? Okay, and went from kind of finally going to, if you are God and you observed it all, prove it. That's basically what he's saying. To which, duh, fuck you. Basically, it's on, did you see everything at the beginning of the universe? No. Evolution is wrong then. Yeah, I'm sorry for that last long bit of silence. Hope you have a nice day. Boop.